My husband is selfish and self-indulgent. And my son was the complete opposite of my husband. I lived with her husband for 10 years and continued to support him as his wife. One weekday. You know what, I'm divorcing you. What? Divorce? Why all of a sudden? I know you're cheating on me. I won't ask for alimony, but I'll take the 30 million in savings and this house. No. I don't understand. I had never cheated on him, but suddenly he was pressing me for a divorce. I didn't understand what he meant, and he started talking about divorce. I tried desperately to stop him, but on second thought. He made accusations without any proof, and yet. He has never helped me raise my children, and he has repeatedly harassed me. I might as well just divorce him now. Okay, I'll leave. You can go homeless or something. My husband laughed and kicked me out, but I left. A month later, I went to someone. I never expected my husband to call me, almost in tears. I live with my husband in a house in the city. I used to be a full-time employee at a small business in the city. I left when I married my husband. Since then, I have been doing housework and meals as my priority. I started to get used to this lifestyle. I started working part-time at a local supermarket. When we got married, we bought a house, and I had to pay for it. I was able to have a comfortable life, and my husband and I were enjoying our life together. Then, 1 year after we got married, I was pregnant with a new baby. We had been trying to have a baby since we got married, and our financial situation was limited to raising one child. We had talked about how nice it would be if we could live together as a family of 3. This pregnancy brought tears of joy to my eyes. My husband burst into joy like a child receiving a birthday present. After that day, while I was doing housework, I was filled with thoughts of a happy life with our future child. I was beginning to feel a happy trouble that my housework was not progressing well. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a drink at home with my coworkers. I'll need you to prepare drinks and stuff. What? You're going to have a drink at our house? Not going out for a drink? It's been a while since we've had a drink at home and we're going to talk about work. I can't go to my colleague's house to have a drink. I want to show off my new house, too. But I'm having morning sickness. That's fine. I'm their boss, after all. He was more pleased with my pregnancy than I was, and when he came home from work, all he talked about was the baby. After I came home from work, we talked about our unborn child all the time. When a boy is born, we will go to the park together to play catch. For his birthday, I will buy him a radio-controlled car and we play together in the park. When he grows up, I want to go touring with him on a motorcycle. My husband was always talking about our child. But compared to what he said with his mouth, he showed little concern for me. If he was so excited about the baby, he could have paid a little more attention to me as an expectant mother. For my child to be born healthy, I must have a proper pregnancy. He has many female friends and I have heard that many of them are pregnant. I'm sure he can get all kinds of information from them. I'm in the hardest time of my life right now with morning sickness. Didn't he think it would bother me to invite his coworkers over? Of course, I understand my husband's position at the company and what he is saying, but I sighed as I thought about that. But I guess he doesn't think anything of it when he says things like that without any ill will. My husband often acted without thinking. Even the house we are living in now, he rushed me into work in the beginning. Because he wanted to combine our incomes. I don't want anything to happen to us in the future, and I'm thinking about the kids. We finally cut our home budget way back, but that's what happened. It is my husband's nature to act without thinking of the future or only thinking of himself. I accepted at the time that this might not be an option. I accepted it at the time, but then he said, "Hey, we're out of liquor. We're out of booze. Boss, it's late and I feel bad for your wife. I think it's time for us to go home. Tomorrow is my day off, so we are gonna drink till morning." Hey, they all have plans for tomorrow. Why don't you let them finish up? You're so picky, you know that? All you have to do is listen to what I say. We're running low on booze, so go buy some. Here we go. I had seen this at a wedding. My husband becomes a big man when he drinks. When we were dating, it was partly because I was not that much of a drinker. We rarely went out for drinks together. At the time, I thought he was a nice man who cared about me. In fact, my husband changed drastically when he drank alcohol. I was disappointed that he completely put me down after we got married. As long as he can control the amount of alcohol he drinks, I'm fine. He usually acts out of second thoughts, though. He's been nice to me, so I didn't think it would be much of a problem. I didn't expect him to be a great husband during this difficult time with morning sickness. It was completely unexpected, but once this happens, there is no stopping him. I was really troubled. I'm having a hard time with morning sickness, and it's usually bedtime, so I want to get to bed. Besides, I haven't taken a bath yet, and I don't feel at ease because people are around. I felt bad for all the coworkers, and they looked like they wanted to leave. I wouldn't let them leave on their own as long as my husband wouldn't let them leave. I did as my husband asked. I was about to go out to buy some alcohol, when one of the coworkers, who had been very considerate, said he would go out to buy some. Don't worry, I'll go. You can rest. Yeah, but I can't let my guest go. My own wife gave birth last year, so I know a lot about pregnant women. I'm sorry to come so late at night. I'm sorry. He had told the company that I was pregnant. I guess they were concerned about me as a pregnant woman. A person younger than I thought could be so considerate. My husband embarrassed me at what he was doing so drunk, but I decided to ask his coworker to go buy a drink. About 10 minutes later, the coworker bought us additional drinks. He smiled at me and went straight to the living room. It must have been about an hour after that, and I wondered if they had given my husband a strong drink. Soon my husband fell asleep in the living room. I apologized to the coworkers for keeping them up late at night, asked them to leave, and went to bed. Maybe because of that I was up until midnight in addition to morning sickness. The next day I had quite a headache. But my husband, who was completely hungover, woke up around noon. He asked me to make him some soup and nagged me about his headache. And the morning sickness hadn't subsided yet. I was in no condition to deal with a hungover husband, but he was not in a good mood because of his hangover. But I didn't want him to complain about his bad mood because of the hangover. I got up, made a simple soup, and quickly finished up the house. I'll leave the soup here for you to eat before it gets cold. Oh, and make sure you make a bath, too. I haven't had a bath since yesterday and I feel sick. Yeah, if such days had continued day after day, I would have reached the end of my patience. But my husband's work became busier and busier. Since then, my burden has not increased in any particular way. I still do the housework and cook the meals, but it has not changed. I still have to do the housework and cook the meals. But the drinking sessions were still vividly etched in my brain. But life was not that bad until the birth of my baby. And then I gave birth to a healthy baby boy. He weighed 3,800 grams and was a big boy. His eyes looked so much like my husband's, and his big body looked just like my husband's, who is also very tall. I was so moved to tears of joy. When my husband held him in his arms for the first time, his mouth was open and he was speechless. I couldn't help but smile when I saw him like that. At that time, I had already forgotten about my husband's bad side. All I could think of was our happy life together. But, hey, will you sleep downstairs from now on? The child cries so loud that it wakes me up in the middle of the night. What, you mean I'll sleep downstairs? But I'm using the downstairs room as a storage room. But it's really noisy. If you could soothe his crying at night, it wouldn't be a problem, but sometimes he cries for more than an hour. It's so annoying. The happy life of the three of us lasted only for a week after we left the hospital. It's true that they cry a lot at night, but that's not the point. That's what raising a child is all about. No way, though, I had been pregnant for almost a year. Don't tell me you don't know anything about parenting. Crying at night is normal, and it is a sign that our child is growing up well. There were a lot of hardships, but we were going to raise our child together as a couple. All the child rearing was forced on me. No, it may be a bit of a misnomer to say everything. To be precise, all the hard parts of child rearing were forced on me. Feeding the baby, taking care of her when he was in a good mood, and so on. My husband himself takes the initiative to do those fun things. If you cut that out, you might think what a good husband he is. In other words, he is a selfish man who only does fun housework and forces me to do all the tedious work such as cleaning up. It's just like a selfish child who puts all the troublesome tasks such as cleaning up on his parents. I was crying at night and had to do housework every night, and I never had a day off. I was getting more and more frustrated with my husband. You know, I don't think you should force me to take care of everything that is hard for you. If you don't take care of the kids on weekends, I won't have enough energy. What? It is your job as a mother to take care of the children, so you should do it. I'm the one who goes to work to earn money. You should put yourself in my shoes, waking me up every day crying at night. It's not only physically demanding, but it's also mentally taxing. Some people are raising their children as single mothers. You can do it too. Just because some people are raising their children as single mothers. I am not the same as those people. Then why don't I say the same thing to you? There are men in this world who come home from work and do all the housework. There are many men in the world who do all the housework when they get home from work and take care of the kids on the weekends. Or there are men who hire a housekeeper to give them an environment where they can focus solely on raising their children. I wonder what he would think if I told them. My husband not only acted without second thoughts but also seemed incapable of considering other people's feelings. Maybe he's been working and he is tired. But he has weekends off, he comes home on time, and he can relax at night. However, I am so busy with housework and childcare in the morning that I can't even sleep properly at night. I'm having such a hard time. I was so frustrated when I saw my husband resting peacefully beside me. But a mother is born with the ability to adapt to the situation. Motherhood is born in the mother. When I began to realize that my husband was not cooperating in raising our child, I gradually became mentally stronger. I was raising my child with the feeling that I would not depend on my husband for child rearing. Time passed quickly as it was, and by the time my son entered elementary school, I returned to work and did household chores. I also returned to work and took care of the housework. Mom, are you all right? Are you sick? I'm fine. I just haven't been sleeping well lately. It's because my father brings company home, isn't it? That's why he doesn't help around the house. That's all right. Your father has a work thing, so I don't have much choice. But I don't like him, because he never thinks about you. After my son started elementary school, he started to understand many things. He became my spiritual ally, and our marriage grew colder and colder. My husband continued to act selfishly as usual. I guess it didn't make a good impression in my son's eyes either. When I was pregnant with our son, he used to talk about my dreams of doing this and that with our son when I was pregnant. Now he rarely interferes with our son. And the three of us live a happy life together. I was living a life that was the opposite of the dream I had at the time. Then, our son grew up well, and he started living by himself to go to college. Life as a couple resumed for the first time in nearly 20 years. It was a strange feeling for me because we had not talked much as a couple since I had been living with my son. It was kind of strange, but I was invited to a hot spring and owned by a friend of mine. Would you like to go with me sometime? Oh, it's such a hassle, I won't go. But she says she'll give us a room for two. I don't enjoy being with you. Before I knew it, my husband had lost interest in me. Of course, as our marriage continued, we stopped having sex. My relationship with my husband, who was not at all involved in raising our child, had become bland. But now that we were living together again, I thought we would gradually work on our relationship. And yet my husband has absolutely no desire to do so. Maybe it doesn't matter how hard I try, because it's just not worth it. I had been married for almost 20 years, and I didn't want to get a divorce now, so I just kept on living my life as it was. One day, after about 8 years of living like that, it was a national holiday and my husband was off work. However, just because the couple is home together, they don't do anything together or go out. Usually on his days off, my husband would go golfing with his company. Today, however, he was not going anywhere, so the two of us are quiet and not talking. I was in the house looking at my cell phone. You know, I'm going to give you a month's grace, but I want you to leave this house. What? What do you mean, too? Don't tell me you think I don't know? You've been having fun with a guy lately, haven't you? What in the world is he talking about? I have no recollection of having any relationship with a man. I had been diligently going to work, doing housework and meals in place of my husband, who did nothing for me. But to be suspected of playing with a man is an infringement. I didn't do anything that would raise such suspicions. What is this all of a sudden? I saw you having lunch with a guy the other day. Nothing but an affair, right? That was just me having dinner with my boss. I'm being asked if I'd like to be the manager of your next project. And I was wondering if I could talk to you about it. I don't think you'll get away with that excuse. I'm divorcing you. I won't ask for alimony, and I'll take your 30 million in savings and the house. You can go homeless or something. With these words, the husband put the divorce papers on the table and went to the bedroom. The divorce papers were already signed and the wedding ring was on the table. Oh, you really mean it? You just treated me like I was cheating on you without any proof, and now here you are. I have supported my husband since we got married and even raised our son on my own. Even after our son was raised, I continued to support my husband. I would have gladly accepted this outcome. With anger and frustration, I packed my bags and headed for the city office with the divorce papers. I went to the city office with the divorce papers and filed them. After that, I called my son and headed home. I'm sorry I bothered you. That dad is a real joke. He's really screwing around, kicking you out. Maybe he just wanted a divorce. But I'm not going to keep quiet about it. Besides, I've got a few things on my mind. My ex-husband was hardly involved in raising our son. Completely on my side in this situation. I was happy for that alone, but my son is not going to keep quiet about this. There was certainly no way I was going to end up without splitting the house and savings. I was just trying to get my settled life back for now. I thought I would forget about my ex-husband for a while. One day, a week after I started living at my son's house, I was told an unbelievable fact by my son. It was something my ex-husband was hiding from me. I had never thought that my ex-husband was hiding something like this from me. At this moment, I trembled with anger like I had never felt in my life. I was absolutely determined to give my ex-husband hell. And a month later. Hello? Finally. What the hell? Dad, you haven't been in touch with me for so long. Now what? Where's Mom? I know she's with you. So what? You are with a young woman, so what does it matter? My ex-husband kept contacting me, but I was thoroughly ignoring him. Then he started contacting my son this time. My son kept ignoring him for a while, too. After receiving the calls over and over again, he became impatient and picked up the phone. The words coming out of my son's mouth seemed to render my ex-husband speechless. I know all about it. I know about your affair, and I know you kicked my mother out because of it. What are you talking about? I didn't do anything like that. I knew something was fishy even before you divorced Mom. I found you walking home from work holding hands with a young woman. I didn't have any proof, so I kept quiet about it, but this time I looked into it and found out a lot. What? You seem to have given her a lot of gifts to keep her around, but do you have any money saved up? Do you have any savings? When my son said this, my ex-husband became silent again. Since the day I moved into my son's house. He has been researching my ex-husband without telling me. About 6 months ago, he found my ex-husband walking around town with a woman. He had been suspicious of him since then. And my son at that time knew that our relationship had cooled off. He thought he was probably with a girl from a girls' bar. This time around, after a thorough investigation, I discovered that my ex-husband was having an affair. He had been cheating on me for more than 5 years. No, I guess it would be more correct to say that he was just contributing money rather than having an affair. It's disgusting. It's strange to buy fake love by spending money on it. Well, it's not right to interfere with someone's hobby. I don't think my ex-husband could do such a thing on his salary. According to my son's research, my ex-husband sends her a lot of gifts. He's been spending a lot of money. Whose money is it? If that's the case, it naturally makes me suspicious of the money she's been putting into our savings account. Answer me properly. You haven't touched the savings? Of course not. If that's the case, I'll ask you to pay her 20 million after deducting the alimony from the 30 million in savings. I'll ask you to send her half of that amount after you sell the property and the house as well. No, that's not. If you can't do that, I'll go to court. I have a friend who is a lawyer, and I will fight you tooth and nail. He must have been spending it all. He was doing whatever he wanted, and then he kicked me out. He has some nerve. But I am not the only one who feels the same way, and neither is my son. If you don't want to go to court, please be honest with me. I don't care what you do. No, but you don't expect me to pay you 20 million. Don't make me say the obvious. It's a matter of course to divide the property, and you're the one who initiated the divorce, right? Yes, but... And I'm going to charge the woman who's holding you together with money alimony. No, don't do that. I can't believe how emotional and angry he gets when it comes to his unfaithful partner. And I was doing my best to do housework for such a person. I was so miserable that I was cooking my ex-husband's favorite dishes. What was I doing for 28 years? But I have saved up all that money and my ex-husband just spent it. I will suffer from now on. I borrowed a phone from my son to give my ex-husband a final thumping. You're the one who spent the money, and you should take responsibility for it. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to do it. I don't need your excuses. But, you know. I don't care about that. I'm going to make you and the woman suffer until the day you die, and I'm going to make you regret it. I said that and hung up the phone. After that, my ex-husband contacted me several times, but I blocked all phone calls, etc. I only left the emails for those times when I had to contact him, though. It's a lot easier now that he doesn't call me anymore. Thank you, and I'm sorry I bothered you. As for my dad, I've always hated him. I will never allow him to play with my mother anymore. Thank you. I'll hold him accountable for the money, and I'll make sure he rots in hell. He grew up to be a really reliable son. My ex-husband was nothing, and he was a lousy husband and father. Then my son, together with a lawyer friend of his, filed a claim for alimony, and after some discussion, they agreed to pay it to me in installments. I was allowed to sit in on the discussion. My son's friend spoke in a high-handed tone from start to finish, and my ex-husband was very nervous. My ex-husband was pretty jittery, but I'm sure he won't run away from the payment because of that. I'm sure he knows that if he walks away from the payment, he will be subject to thorough legal action. If we had to go to court, it would cost him even more money than he already has. Of course, I filed for alimony not only against my ex-husband but also against the person he cheated on me with. Eventually, a meeting was held between the two of them and it was decided that it was the ex-husband's role to pay her alimony. I don't know the details of the story, but in the end they just pushed her to pay and she disappeared, and I realized that it was really just about money. I can't see a young girl sticking around with him, even though it was nothing more than money. I can't believe I spent my precious money and time on such a thing. He must have been really stupid to get into such a strange thing and ruin his life. Well, as a father, it was a good education for my son to finally see a bad example. By the way, I still live with my son. I am saving all the money that my ex-husband is transferring to me. My son was talking with his current girlfriend about getting married in the future, and I cannot continue to be indebted to my son. I have to live on my own in my old age. But I think it was a really good thing that I finally got rid of my ex-husband. I was able to reconfirm the bond with my son. I was able to finally get rid of the things I didn't need in my life. I hope to spend the rest of my life slowly spending time with the people I truly care about. Hi, I'm Hazuki, the narrator. I guess the ex-husband got a good feeling from playing with young girls. But I think it was a waste of money and time. I think it would be better not to do something stupid like this. What did you guys think? Please let me know in the comments section. I would be very grateful if you could give me a high rating and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching to the end. See you in the next video.